we'll call the Board of Public Works meeting of Monday, March 15th to order. Number 2, approval of minutes of March 1st. Mr. Fire, motion. Second by Mr. Fisher. Comments, corrections, questions?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
On the purchase of the Colorado pickup for the plumbing inspector, it still reads 2022.
Okay, Tom's got that, he's jotting.
You want me to repeat?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry about that. On the motion to purchase a new Chevy Colorado for a plumbing inspector, it reads in the minutes that it's a 2022 when it's actually 2021.
Okay. So the motion and second would be to approve with the amended minutes. Is that Mr. Fire? Okay. Mr. Fisher, you, okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Citizens' comments. We have any citizens' comments? If you do, please go to the podium. State your name and address, please.
Good evening. My name is Patricia Bickner. I live on Concord Avenue, 210 South Concord Avenue. I spoke with Quentin, who I'm not sure which one you are, who encouraged me to come tonight. I live in a 4-bedroom house with 4 adults and 4 cars, but I've got like a single garage and a small driveway. So the winter parking ban is really a hardship for us. We either have to do a lot of juggling, or what we've been doing is parking one of the cars on the lawn, which now I don't want to do that because the ground is thawing. And I guess I'm not supposed to be doing that either. So just wondering if you could review that winter parking regulation. I've spoken to other people in the town who are kind of on the same page with me that it's a little overboard. Maybe the restriction could be just for snow emergencies. I'd be more than happy to get my car off the street, out of the way of plows when I need to. But when there isn't even any snow, it doesn't make sense to me that I have to pile up all my cars into a tiny space.
Okay, what we'll do is put that on the next agenda. Tom's jotting it down, so we'll discuss it. So next meeting would be in 2 weeks.
Okay.
So if you want to come to that when we discuss it then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do have one other comment that's specific to my street. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Concord. It's got a ditch, a drainage ditch on either side of the street and no curb. And sometimes people park right across from each other and it's difficult to get through. I can't imagine sometimes a fire truck even being able to get through. I think it would make sense to restrict parking to just one side of the street.
Okay, Tom's jotting that down and we'll discuss that as well.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too.
Thank you.
Next, presentation of asphalt maintenance treatments introduced by Chris Hawley.
Good evening, everybody. I just want to give you a little background on why we're here tonight. We tried to do this last year, but with the situation that we were in, Rachel wasn't able to make it, and it was just too difficult to try and schedule anybody to come and do a presentation at that time. So I just want to give you a little background. Back in the winter of 2019, 2020, Kurt Bornbach, who's now retired, did a little research on how we can improve our asphalt maintenance program. Right now, what we do is we pave a street, and after 6 to 8 years, we'll crack fill it, and after that 6 to 8 year mark, we'll either slag it or chip seal it, and then we're pretty much done with it. What we're seeing right now is our 20-year-old pavement is actually starting to show, asphalt pavement is really starting to show some wear. I've been here for 22 years now, and I'm looking at streets that we paved, Tom, back then. and they're starting to look pretty rough. So Kurt did a little research on that. Found an article from 2014 in a magazine called the Asphalt Pavement Preservation magazine, and that kind of got us hooked up with Rachel and her company called Corrective Asphalt Material, or CAM. Some really good articles in the publication on this corrective asphalt materials and Reclamite that she's going to introduce to you tonight. Several case studies that they've done, and we conversed in the winter of 2020, back and forth email quite a bit, and then Rachel came last spring and kind of drove around and looked at some of our asphalt streets, and she kind of gave us a good idea of what her product, the company's product would do for us. And we were really impressed with her knowledge of the materials and the product that they use. And so we did actually do about 60,000 square yards last summer. And she's going to have some slides tonight to show you on how that went. So this company, Rachel, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's been around since 1980, so it's not a new product. It's been around since 1980, and they go from Louisiana all the way up to Minnesota. That was one of our first questions, was how well does this product do in a cold environment? Down south, of course, you don't have the freeze-thaw type situations, but they've done northern Minnesota now. And so with that, I'm going to introduce you to Rachel Lang from Corrective Asphalt Material, and she's going to do a little slide presentation on this product that we tried out last summer, and we're looking to do more of it in the future.
Alrighty. Let's see if I got it. Is it this one? Is it the other one? This one? Oh. Hold. This one? Oh, this one? All right. There we go. All right. So then I can just click on the slide. All right. Got it. Okay. So I'm Rachel Lang. Thank you for having me. I'm with Corrective Asphalt Materials. I've been with them for 13 years on Wednesdays, so I've been doing this for quite a while. We're a company, we're based out of the St. Louis area. That's where our main office is. I specifically work out of our Sugar Grove office, which is in northern Illinois, suburb of Chicago. So we've been a company since about 2005 is when CAM became a company. Our products, though, however, have been around since the early 70s. You're very close. So, but yeah, so they're not new products. They've been around for a long time. The whole idea, though, of pavement preservation is a concept that's not very easily acceptable to a lot of communities because, and you'll see later, being proactive in your asphalt maintenance is never how you originally look at the problem. Usually you have more reactive approaches to pavement maintenance. You don't want to start, treating asphalt until you already see raveling and cracking and oxidation and all that destruction on the surface of your pavement. So it's nice to get there and be proactive. And that's the only thing we specialize in is pavement maintenance. We don't do chip sealing. We don't do microsurfacing or anything else. We just use our two products that we have. In 2019, just my office alone, we did over 4 million square yards of Reclamite and CRF in the Chicagoland area. About 3 years ago, I was allowed to come into the Wisconsin area and start providing this region with product. And so since then, we've done work for Madison. We've done work for you guys now. We do have a little bit of work we've done for Marathon County. I've worked in McGuanago, Brookfield, and a few other places as well. So, and they are actually starting some regular programs. But, so I just want to look at this. This is your life cycle curve for your asphalt pavement. And so I like to look at it in about 3 different phases. You have your preventive maintenance, which is your proactive applications, which would be your rejuvenators. You have your functional maintenance. This is all of your reactive approaches. Now your asphalt is still usable, but you're seeing raveling and cracking. It's definitely, as you move further down that curve into that yellow area and orange, you're more expensive fixes. You're having to add the asphalt, you're having to put lifts, you're having to fill stuff in, you're going to have to add something back to that asphalt to make it last longer. And with that comes a higher cost. And that red section is your structural maintenance. You're tearing out pavement, you're starting over, you're ripping everything out. But I was going to focus majority on that green section and how to get the most for your money there. Is ideally, if you're treating in that green section, instead of bumping your curve out, you're actually bending that curve and you're adding those extra years onto the life of the pavement. So the proactive maintenance in that green section that we talked about, the first step in pavement maintenance is, proactive. I like to use the analogy of like you have a deck. And the first thing you do to that deck, it's wood, you want to seal it because you want that wood to last as long as possible. And you continue to seal that wood because you want to keep it good for as long as possible. Decks are not cheap to put in. Same thing with your road. You want to get that road sealed up right away. You want to protect that pavement and protect your investment. So usually with this proactive approach to asphalt maintenance, you're looking in that 0 to 5 year range. You want to get in there right away when the pavement is in good condition, and you want to seal it up and you want to keep it there for as long as you can. By being proactive in this, you're adding about 5 to 7 years onto the life of the pavement. It's pretty significant. They're able to do that, and you can still do any other treatment that you'd like to do. You're just pushing all of that further down the road. So not all products that are in that green area are considered rejuvenators. According to the National Center for Pavement Preservation, you need to be a maltene-based petroleum product to be a real rejuvenator. So you'll have other products come in that say, oh, we're a rejuvenator. But if they're not maltene-based, they are not a rejuvenator. So that's something you need to look for. And I'm going to talk a little bit about maltenes. It's so exciting, and you guys are lucky because today is Maltene Monday. So if you follow us on social media, we've been starting our new campaign. So anyways, there's a relationship in asphalt between your asphaltenes and your maltenes, and those are what make up your asphalt binder. So maltenes, they're added to the pavement. That's what keeps it soft and flexible, but that's what gets baked out of the asphalt when through the oxidation process. As soon as your asphalt comes out of the plant, it gets heated up really hot, and then it gets laid out. And those maltenes are being baked out of the asphalt itself. So what the Reclamite's going to do is it's going to replace that maltene fraction back into the pavement. If we go back to the definition of what a rejuvenator is, that's exactly what you want to do. You want to replace that maltene fraction. You want to slow down that oxidation process. Your asphaltenes, if a product is asphaltene based, you're looking at the hardening agent. That's what's going to keep that surface harder, brittle on top, and you're going to see some more aggregate loss at the surface. So that balance is really important, your asphaltene to maltene ratio. So I'm just going to talk about Reclamite. It's our maltene-based rejuvenator. It's a quick application, minimal screenings, applied in that 0 to 5 years. It's because I'm talking about the two products. I kind of just I don't want to confuse everybody. I brought some material if you like. But yes, Reclamite, early, CRF, old. So proactive, reactive. I'll keep saying it throughout. But this was the little demo that we did. We did a little bit for Marathon County. They put this on brand new pavement. We came in, they had just laid it, and we came in and treated it. I came back about 2 months later, and you could see the rest of the road around it is wet, and the treated portion is completely dry. You can see it on the shoulder for sure right there. You can also see that your striping is intact. But anyway, I got better photos of that to see. So now this is the reactive, this is your CRF. So here in Marshfield, you guys had a lot of roads with a lot of slag on it, slag chip seal. And so they needed a way to make that last longer, so you didn't have to spend money into that reconstruction phase, that red zone where you're spending all the money. So this was something new that we tried. On the slag portion at least. We've put it over chip seals before, but not with the slag aggregate. So we tried it out, and these are the results. I came back in September. I mean, it looks amazing. I mean, it's really staying on there, holding on nice. So the CRF is the same product as our Reclamite, only it has a little bit of asphalt content in there. And what that's going to do, because it's in that orange zone, it's going to add a little bit back to that surface. There's actually no lift to the pavement at all, but it's going to fill in those smaller cracks and voids and just make it and smooth it out and keep that water out. Neither of our products add lift to the pavement. They're both in-depth seals, so you're not going to see a plow get underneath it and pull it out. Once it's on there, it's there for the duration of its life. It's not going anywhere. Usually with the CRF application, you have a heavier amount of screenings that we'll be putting down. The setup time is a little bit longer. We want roads that are older. I mean, I've seen roads that are 3 years old that really could use some CRF, but hopefully we can get roads at least into that 5 to 7-year-old range before we have to come in and actually apply the CRF. You're seeing roads, usually candidates have mild alligatoring, aggregate loss at the surface, mild cracking. It's not going to fill in your big cracks, but at least you put a base in there, and I would recommend crack filling after. This product, because of the asphalt, we're looking at a fall or spring application, which kind of limits us in some aspects, but not really. All right, so I got into the application process. This is more important for, I guess, us and then also residents as well. They probably like to know about this. We start out with our road selection, which is when I came up, we looked at all the pavement that we had to work with, and I don't want to put product down on a pavement that's not ready. If it's too far gone for Reclamite, we're not going to put it on the pavement. It's not going to do its job. It's not going to work. CRF, same deal. If it's too far gone and you guys are going to need to come in and do something else that's not CRF, perfect. Also, if you look at the timeline, I mean, now you got a toolbox of tools. Almost every product out there has a spot in that timeline. And you can still do everything else. You're just pushing those more expensive applications and tools just further back. So you could still come back and do a chip seal. You can still come back and do a microsurface or a crack fill. You're just doing it much later down the line than you would had you not sealed up your road at the beginning. All right, road selection, construction seal. This is what I talked about with Marshfield. We came in, we did brand new pavement. But the great thing about that is you're sealing it up before it hits that first winter. All that water intrusion, that salt intrusion, getting in that pavement. By sealing it up, keeping that water out is so important. You don't want that water to get into that pavement and help you lose that aggregate surface. Like I said, 0 to 5 years, we're suspending the age. We're not reversing the age. So when we come in, we treat 1-year-old pavement. It's pavement that's been sitting for 1 year, has had winter on it, and that's fine, but it's not going to reverse that aging. It's going to hold it where it's at. So if there's one large crack in the road, it's not going to magically make the road come back together again. So, but in this area, you're limited to about 2 applications of Reclamite. I wouldn't recommend more than that, just because with our freeze thaw, with the 1 application of Reclamite, you're going to see a lot of tightening on that pavement. I'd say if you're going to do a second application, you could probably come back in year 5 or 7, depending on what kind of program you have. We're going to use a little less product on that second one because the first application does make it tighter. You'll see that at the surface when I get through some of these photos. But that's about your limit with the Reclamite. CRF, when you put it on older pavement, it depends on how long. I've had people who want to get just 2 more years squeaked out of a pavement. So this was a solution that worked for them. I've had people put 3 applications of CRF down within a life cycle. So resident notification, we handle it. You guys can handle it. We kind of try to do like a la carte with the pricing anyway for you guys. So whatever you guys want to do, a letter on our website we have now this year, we have videos and photos, specifically a tab for residents that they can visit and see why they're doing this, what's going to happen, and most importantly, when it's going to be cleaned up, because that's what they care about the most. Conditions, obviously, we want ideal conditions, 40 degrees and rising, just like when you're paving. We want dry roads, so that is important. So this is your Reclamite application. I mean, it goes on this cute pink color, and then in about 30 minutes, it just dries clear. Clear finish is on there. Depending on how hot it is, it could be 5 to 40 minutes. I'd say 30 minutes is about average. Usually by the time the truck's finished and turns around, we can go ahead and do this. Your striping will come through. What's a nice, great thing about the Reclamite is you have a brand new pavement with brand new striping, and you don't want something that's going to cover that up. It's an extra added cost. With the Reclamite, it's a clear finish that striping comes through. You're going to be able to see it again. It will tinge it temporarily, but with regular weathering, it does come back. So that just wanted to show you. Oh, if you are going to restripe, I'd recommend 2 weeks. Anyway, so sweeping. So we do put down a light application of sweeping or screenings down on the Reclamite. Top photos just with the screenings and product down. The next day, we sweep it up. The screenings don't need to stay down very long. They're there for 2 reasons, blotting and skid resistance. Temporarily, those numbers are reduced. They come back within a few hours, relieve the screenings down for 24. And this is just to show that as well. And there you go, another stop bars popping through. So, and then the CRF application takes about 40 minutes to an hour. You're putting it down in colder temperatures. We put this down at a heavier application rate. than we do the Reclamite, so we're using a lot more product. It is a little bit darker, but it does have asphalt in it, so it's gonna have that darker look. It does not finish black. It finishes in a gray color, so there's that. And you will have to restripe after the CRF, only because it has an asphalt in it, so it will cover up your striping. So if you are gonna stripe, I recommend waiting 2 weeks after doing that. Like I said, the heavier application with the screenings here, no effects really with skid resistance with the CRF at all, because we put so much down, has a little more grit to it right off the bat. And we like to keep those screenings down for at least a week. So this is why the resident notification is really important on this product, because you get a lot of residents that said, hey, you're chip sealing my street, what's going on? It's like, no, we're gonna clean it up, don't worry. So we like to make sure that we have the notification out there early and everybody knows what's going on. All right, the pretty pictures, the treated and the untreated. So what we're looking for here is a treated pavement is tight, aggregate's intact, it's shedding water, and it has minimal signs of aging and oxidation. Your untreated there is open graded, it's accepting water, and it's oxidizing. And it's a brand new pavement. I mean, that's 1-year-old pavement on the untreated portion there. But you can just see how beneficial it is to have, you know, that treated portion sealing it up properly. I do a lot of county work. This is a county road. I mean, came back, 2 years later, you can still see where the drip came off the truck for that little demo that we did for them. Just that open gradedness, just to show you how tight that pavement could be after, you know, a year of treatment. This one's a little harder to see, but I have the next photo will show you. This is the Brookfield, Wisconsin one, but I got this one. So one of the things you're gonna see with your treated portions is you're not gonna have that water intrusion. In the morning, you're gonna have, some residue on the surface, you know, that mist in the morning, though that water is still sitting there underneath your trees where it's still wet. Your Reclamite treated is gonna dry. So you can see here how the wetness goes right up to the treated section and everything treated is dry. So that means that pavement is sealed. Just to show you also the wetness there. I came through after a rainstorm. It was drying. After it dried, as you can see on the other side, the whole treated portion is dry. Everything untreated is wet. And it does look like that. You can see that line. It's very definitive like that. Just another, treated it here and then come back after the morning. It's about after a year, just a close up to show you that tight surface. So this is, okay, so it's not gonna reduce your salt usage, but in a small movement of snow, we find that the snow has a hard time sticking to the pavement. So it's because that surface is sealed, the snow has nothing to stick to. And so we have villages and municipalities that claim that their salt use is more affected on their treated versus their untreated streets. Quantitatively, I don't have any information for you, as we all know every plow driver is a little different. So it's kind of hard to gauge measurement on how much we're actually saving on salt usage. But I thought this was like an added benefit, and I thought it was kind of cool to go out there and actually see it happening. This just shows you, once your Reclamite becomes part of the pavement, it's there for the duration of its life. It's not going anywhere. So this is 19 years old, and yeah, there's some aging and some raveling and some cracking, but that section that's treated will always age more slowly than everything else. It's worse, yeah. They finally did pave the whole pavement. They didn't tell me ahead of time. This is just showing you one side treated, one side not. The untreated side is actually newer than the treated side. It's a year younger than the untreated side, but they treated, Elmhurst treated theirs in the first year. They did a construction seal, and Berkeley did not. And it doesn't really matter what they did, because that pavement is still 8 years old in this photo. And for an 8-year-old pavement, that's a pretty good looking surface there. Just going through these real quick, and I'll show you some CRF. This is just one of my big projects I started in 2009. It was one of my first projects that I started with the company and one of my first big county jobs. So I like to show it off because I'm proud of it, because it's still there and it looks really, really good. The untreated side is all deteriorated, falling apart. The treated side is intact, a minimal crack fill being used. They're not gonna have to do anything to that pavement for a long time still. Another one right here. I was actually on the crew for this, and you can see the untreated portion is, you had to be crack filled. There's cracks that end right at the treated portion. And here come 2 years after that. You can just see how that open graded, that oxidation what it's doing to the pavement, whereas the treated portion is sealed, still intact, still holding on strong. Just another one to show that moisture, treated versus untreated. This is all just, we only treated one side for them. And then I think I move into CRF. So CRF is a little bit different. Like I said, it has that asphalt content in there, and you are adding a little bit into that asphalt. So this is Carroll Stream. These are the kind of results you're going to see with the CRF. It's going to fill in some of those smaller cracks and voids. It's going to have, like I said, a little bit of a different look. It's going to have like a darker look. It's not going to be black and sparkly, but it does put a nice finish, a nice smooth finish onto the pavement. This is just another one 3 years after treatment. Like I said, it's not going anywhere. Once it's on the pavement, it's there for the duration of its life. Yep, this is just another little section to show it off. And I believe that concludes my slideshow. And if anybody has questions, I'd love to answer them.
Any questions from the board?
I do. Thank you. Presentation was great. But what question I have is, why do cities do is one half of the road and not the other? I mean,
Just
why?
for demonstration.
It's just demonstration.
Yep. And we've actually done it where we've come back and then treated everything. But it's just one thing that they can show to see, because what we'll do sometimes is come in, we'll do like a smaller pilot project, and we'll do that, and then they can kind of watch it for a year before they actually go through. Especially with the CRF, I like to, kind of dip our toes in a little bit before they jump in head first, because doing a very aggressive CRF program off the bat could be a little overwhelming with residents because the product is down for so long and all that. But it's like, if you are used to it and you understand the product, it makes it a lot easier. So I feel like just a small amount, at least to get started, helps than to go in head first.
Okay.
Anybody else? Tom?
What are the typical costs per square for doing these types of products?
So with the CRF, like I said, we like to do it a la carte. I believe last year we were at $1.45 square yard for the CRF product. And that, I believe we did the resident notification for that as well. Yeah, we did everything. So that's turnkey. So we like to do all that. This is sweeping, traffic control, resident notification, all of that. Now, if the city or municipality wants to handle any portion of that, we can bring the cost down. Sometimes it's easier for us just to do it all and say, here you go. With the Reclamite, we're about in the dollar range. But then, like I said, that's turnkey as well. So we'll come in and do everything for that. And those prices are based on quantity as well. So.
Okay. Anybody? Okay. Thank you, Rachel.
No problem. Thank you for having me. All right, so stop sharing. All right.
Okay, number 5, recommended items for future agendas. We've got 2 that Tom wrote down from the citizen comments. So anybody else have anything? Otherwise, a motion to adjourn. Mr. Rosendich, motion. Second, Mr. Bargander. Thank you. We are adjourned.